So the whole idea is like, it's a little skewed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, go work, make money, use money. Money is not the end goal. The end goal is if you're okay, and she's okay, and everybody's okay.
Ollie L. So welcome to the Top Style Show. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Really appreciate the support. Today, we have a mega star, Ollie L., the serial entrepreneur. He's been coming up with ideas. His lab, Softwurx, is pumping out new products. But today is a special launch of something so special for financial freedom. I'm really excited, as you can see from my tone. I am very excited to learn more about this product called Paradox. But Ali is going to talk about that. So Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you very, very much for having me. Thank you so much, Tom. I really like your energy. Thank you so much.
You know, the thing is, you guys are the one building the platform, the energy platform that all of us can go around and use on our phones and things like that. But you know, but before we go into that, what is this Paradoxly?
Man, so Paradoxly is a very special project. So our focus at Paradoxly is to accelerate the world's transition to financial freedom. We want to help out everyone to get to the point where they can live the life they really want to live, right? We now we have the time and the technology to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? So our main focus is to develop an app that will become your financial AI advisor. Right? Exactly. It'll help you manage and save your money.
Yeah.
Right? It'll help you grow your money by making sure that you invest in the right places, right? And it'll, at the same time, put you in a community that will actually support your financial goals.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it has the community aspect to it, and you're bringing AI, the power of AI into the finances of common people.
Exactly.
So I don't need to go to a hedge fund to put my money in.
Nope, not at all.
Wow.
You know, that's what we're targeting. We're making sure that all that power is in your pocket. You'll be surprised how powerful your smartphone is. You'll be surprised, you know, a lot of the things. So one of our main philosophies at Paradoxly is to make sure that security and privacy is at the very top.
Okay.
Right? And when we do that, we start to make decisions in terms of the product itself.
Yeah.
Right? And some of the things that we've decided to do is to make sure that we only do the computation and saving on the device itself.
Oh,
so all the transaction history, all of that stays in your pocket.
It does not go to the cloud.
We don't hold any of it.
Wow.
We do all the computation on device in real time. So every time you open the app, it's doing that in real time. So we don't want to save anything. We don't want to hold on to anything, because we don't believe in that.
That was a huge thing for me, because I did not want to be connecting all my finances and some guy from a server watching me like, let's see, he doesn't have much money, you know? Or so it stays in your device.
It stays on the device.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there are trade-offs, because sometimes the app can get too much, you know, to take up too much space on your phone, and you're like, oh my God, you know? But there are smart ways to go about, you know, compressing it, making sure it stays, you know, within range.
So I think that's a huge thing you guys are doing, because that would separate you from any competitors that's coming up with cloud-based.
And that's only the start. That's only the start, Tom. Like there's so many aspects to it. We're asking questions such as ROI on social and impact investing directly on the platform. We're thinking of, you know, discovering ways to really deliver even more value by merging AI into the product itself in the long term. Right? Right now we're launching this very slow, but it's sort of like a little baby. Right? And you have to train it, and it has to get better. And the more we use it, the more it gets better, the more it can help us. Right? So it's sort of that scenario. You know, and so I'm just so excited to share this today.
Oh, that is pretty amazing. So in the beginning, so right after launch, so this financial app, I'll be able to connect the bank accounts, the credit cards.
Yes, 100%.
So
as soon as you connect it, it'll download all the transaction history into the app, and the app will start to do its thing. It'll make suggestions. It'll look at your transaction history. Says, okay, I've seen that you've been paying this phone bill for the past year or two at exactly that date. It'll extrapolate and figure out, okay, you know, and set alarm time and calendar, you know, reminders and everything for those specific dates to make those. And if you want, you can go into the settings and literally just turn on a switch where it's like automate everything, and it will make those payments for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it will just make those payments for you, and boom, like just ready to go. So it's like, but we have to put that switch because we have to, again, we have to understand it's like us, just myself, I'm not ready yet to give everything over to computers, right? To AI. So I need that little bit of time to get familiar with it. And so the app is beautifully designed in a way that it kind of takes you step by step. At first you get in, it's kind of empty. You're like, okay, let me set it up. I set it up, and you start to look at the details of your transaction history. You're like, oh my God, I'm getting the hang of this, right? It walks you through it. And at some point, you will start to use it more. You get to see the notifications that the AI starts to reach out and tell you about. You know what I mean? Hey, this happened. Hey, this is this. You know, maybe you can save $10 here if you do this over time, because it needs to learn about you and your transaction histories and things like that. And then, so at that point, you're already familiar with the AI. And at such point, some people may feel comfortable to just turn it fully automatic and say, you know what, I don't want to worry about this anymore. I just, you take care of this and do what you need to do, you know what I mean? And never have to worry about paying another bill, doing anything like that. It's just automatic. Right. Wow. But yeah, man,
that's pretty insane. So this is like a financial engine for a common person, and slowly it evolves with you. It gives you suggestions, helps you financially, like financial advisor in your pocket.
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
Just like that.
Wow, this is pretty insane. It's a huge project you're taking on. Now, you know, you're a serial entrepreneur. You have been, you know, coming up with different ideas. So tell us a little more. Like, how, by the way, how did you get this idea?
Oh, that's a story and a half. Actually, it started with my partner. She is amazing when it comes to budgeting. She understands, you know, there's a little bit of friction. Just want to be real. Because that's my motto. I'm you know, try always be real. Is that, you know, just I don't want to do it, and then finally sits down and gets it done, and, you know, breaks it down. And I was like, man, I wonder. So that was the beginning, right? That was the beginning of when I was like, okay, let me figure out about turning this into a product. But it started way before then. I didn't know it at the time, but before then I had, you know, gotten into an accident, you know, and life kind of got a little bit rough, and understanding about finances and learning about personal finance and, you know what I mean, income and balance, and figuring out 70-30, you know, the 7-10-10 rule, you know, figuring out how do, you know, I'll be honest with you, man, there was a moment where I started from zero. Like 0.00, so not even 1 penny, and I got 1 penny, and I tried to. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Patrick Bet-David, and he's saying,
I know BBD.
Yes, he is like, man, unbelievable, next level, bro. It's like so, it's like, you know, and because he gives a lot of good, very good sound advice on business management and all these things, and so, you know, he was telling me about how in business you need to double and double, double, and figuring out how to double is the game. So, I started from zero, right? I used the foundation of this product to get me out of that 0-0-0 scenario. But it'll take discipline, and it'll take you to actually slow down and figure out, okay, I'm in this scenario right now. How do I get out of this, right? And then figuring out that part of it is you. Like, hey, it's on me to figure out my own finances, right? And then we start working on the you know, the engines, and, you know, improving it little by little bit. We put out a prototype. You know, we've been using it in-house. And so it got to a point where, you know, my friend from DC, he calls me. He's like, hey, man, I think, you know, I want to just come out and just hang out and see what's up with the you know, with the West Coast. And I was like, yeah, come through. And we were talking about it for a little bit, and he was telling me about investing and day trading and things like that. And that's when my eyes really focused on that world, on the actual financial industry. And I was like, okay, that was my entry. But then the more you learn, the more you know, you're like, oh, this is much bigger. There's hedge funds, there's controllers, there's, you know what I mean? Like, what's happening here, you know? I got in contact with a guy from New York, and he's a CFO for one of the startups there, and he was like, but they're not even considered a startup, man. They're like Series B at this point. So I think for me personally, that's already like you're a company at that point. You're going, and I mean, if you make it to that point,
that's
like
a corporation.
That's corporation. You're no longer a kid in the game. Like, you've been around, you understand, you know. So he was telling me about how some of these guys at Wall Street were having some of these softwares and these tools, man, and these things with like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of softwares and tools that they just have access to. And so I was like sitting there, I was like, wait a minute. So there's no way, you know what I mean? If because as a computer scientist, I you know, try to look at things fundamentally, right? Break them down to small pieces and understand. It's like, okay, if these guys have a computer that is faster than mine, that can do this thing, I don't stand a chance, because even if no matter how fast I press that button, it'll always, the code will fire faster than my hand can move. So I'm losing. I need to compete.
Yeah.
So I started thinking like, I asked my friends like, is this possible? He's like, yeah, there's bot traders, there's these day trading, there's systems, algorithmic traders. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, can I just get into it? And there's a whole lot of like scams around it, and there's a lot of like, these so you're just navigating this, and so that experience of navigating that is what I were able to copy down into a product and say, okay, so all of these things I'm experiencing, it's worth noting, right? It was just experimental at that point, right? Just falling forward, like literally failing forward, right? Wow, this is a thing. And I start to ask more people, start talking about it. My partner was like, you should ask this person, you should present, you should pitch. I said, okay, and just try and share the idea, and people are like, yeah, this is it. So then we started, going out, asking people, and it's like, wow, they are actually having the same problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got a couple of odd jobs to just to make sure it ends meet and things like that, and talking to my coworkers, like delivering, and they're like, yeah, man, some of these things, some guy literally told me, he's like, dude, I asked him, like, how do you feel about crypto? He's like, never gonna touch it. I'm like, okay, how do you feel about financial software? Never gonna go close to it. Why? Oh, it's just for businessmen, right? What? So the whole idea is like, it's a little skewed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, go work, make money, use money, repeat. But there's so many things in between to get you out of that scenario, right? To learn how to become like better at managing it, to understand yourself financially is important, right? It's foundational. I think personally, any human being has those foundations, right? Like in the human connection and social interactions, one foundation, right? You can call it the hierarchy, you can call it a triangle, whatever you have, but we need that. Financial is definitely one of them. One of those pillars where you gotta stand up in society and be able to, operate and do things like that. And I personally believe if there's a way that people are able to get there, they'll take it.
Yeah.
Right? One, and two, once we get further up as a society, I think it'd be more fun.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot more fun. Would you agree or not?
Yeah, especially people start to think about using software, advisor, funds when they, go up a little bit. Now they have a cushion, right? In the beginning, it's okay, let's get a job. I work with a lot of young people, right out of college. They're not thinking about anything else. They're thinking about get the first job, get some experience, move up the ladder. But that was, but recently a lot of these recent graduates or things like that, they have a lot of different things that are influencing them, TikToks and these social media, and they see a lot of these scams right on there, and they kind of get into that. Back in our time, the internet was filled with, the internet just came along, it filled with scam. It was just only scam. Really? And then Google kind of filtered it through, kind of made it nicer, and then so the Google kind of actually shaped the internet in a lot of ways, because before anything you search, mostly you get scams. Then Google kind of filtered it through, and but then now these are sophisticated. I don't want to use the word scam, but there is something they're gaining out of it. Oh, they're going to give you some advice. But by the way, are you charging people?
Yeah. So the business model around this is really interesting.
Okay.
We're at the stage right now where the product is free.
Wow.
Yeah. Not because we just want to implement our monetization models ethically.
Yeah.
We don't want to just slap it on there and say call it a day, which we can, right? But really, we have to think this through properly. I really think, because I always try to put myself in the shoes of the user or the customer, or the person. And I was just having this conversation today.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, there's so many separate systems that operate in unison.
Yeah.
But what happens is sometimes there's certain gaps. For example, let's say you need to pay something and the payment doesn't come in as expected because it needs a 24-hour processing time. So it's like a lot of people get stuck in between those gaps. Yes. And that's how you keep falling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So let's put out the product. Let's see what the feedback's like.
Yeah.
Right? Because what we delivered maybe is 98% of the way through, but that 2% we need to calibrate. We need to make sure that the customers are happy, the features make sense. Right now, we're toying with a couple of ideas. First, we want to put it out and actually have conversations with the users and send out surveys. Hey, what is a comfortable price for you? What are features do you think are and then just take it from there.
Yeah.
It's a very democratic way to approach it, I believe. But we're also thinking, because it's a weird balance.
Yeah.
Because it's a startup, because in the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to make money.
Yeah,
So
you gotta bring in money to keep keep the payrolls running. The people that are working for you, the engineers, so that they can pump out new features. Now the other thing I just thought of that, you have that option, that switch you were talking about, where people can automate their bill payments, and some of the bills you can kind of show them, but because people, if they're late, they're always paying late fees. And if by analyzing the monthly budgets and expenses of a person, he found out that person is losing $50 per month for late fees, right? So your software can be dynamically priced, kind of like TurboTax.
That's cool.
Like TurboTax does not take money directly from you, but they take it from the federal taxes that you were the refunds that you were supposed to get, right? So they take some money out of it. You were like, oh, I haven't seen that money, so yeah, you can take some out of that. No worries, And then so it's kind of like that. So for you saved them $50, but you took $10 out of it, right? So you could have that. That's a lot of complexities to it to implement that. But I think you have a lot of possibilities that you can implement looking at the way you're going with, because but at the end of the day, the consumers, whatever they want to go with, right?
Exactly. So I really like that idea, that dynamic pricing. I like that idea. We just have to run the numbers and make sure that
financial
it makes sense.
models.
Just you have to see what the usage looks like, just so things can balance out. But I like that idea because it's true. It's like if we could help you save that money, we could take a piece of it, right?
Absolutely. And everybody is happy to give you that. Right? Because you already helped me save the money. Okay. So, of course you deserve some. Even if you think of it like people working in sales, right? They get a commission. You don't feel bad giving them the commission, do you? Because they brought in the business, right? So you're like, oh yeah, sure, that's fine. But when they ask for a raise in the base, they're like, okay, let me review your performance first, right? Then you start thinking, because that goes out of the pocket all the time. And in this case, if you say, oh, it's $9.99 or $16.99, whatever the price, then they're like, oh, it goes out of the pocket. That's kind of like the base salary.
But exactly.
Right?
We also have to pay mind to whom we're focusing on. At first, our target is Gen Z millennials. So these are digital natives. Youngsters who need to understand money, because our product is still very young. It needs a point where it starts. So the two meet each other really nice. A young product that is still trying to establish itself in terms of features and depth and value needs a customer that understands that. So if you give that like a beginner's tool to an advanced person, they're gonna be like, what is this? I need charts. I need I need candlesticks. I need all this stuff. But that generation, one, they need it the most because it's the beginning. It was the beginning of your life, of your career. It's like if you establish that in the beginning, you'll be fine, right? And at the same time, they understand it's young. They're willing to try it out. They want to focus on that. So, I
think the young demographics is definitely going to be something because, this is the thing. Back in our time, Robinhood did not exist. These casinos, I call them, I didn't come up with the casino word. I think that's from Charlie Munger or something. So, he says it's a casino in your pocket. So these young people, they're just coming up with, let's buy some Dogecoin, and it goes up and spikes. And, they're not really thinking the stock bond, they're not thinking, or the meme stocks, things like that. So they are into those. And, but your product is more of reasonable financial understanding, right? So it's bringing more sanity to it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And can I tell you a little something?
Yeah.
Building the product is actually the easy part. I swear to God. And my co-founder, he understands. He builds the neural net. He's just waiting to be. He's certified, in AI. His background is extensive. It's amazing. And, he was like, this baby needs food. We need to grow it. We have to cultivate because we don't know what it's capable of yet. We still need to figure out how it can get even better and things like that. But that's not even the hard part. No, the hard part is, we literally just spoke about it today. How do you make financial management sexy?
Yeah.
How do you make those topics sexy? How do you deconstruct the scamminess, the all the shadiness, but at the same time make it something that people talk about? You know what I mean? Something that it's cool and sexy. It's like how that's the real hard part.
That is really hard because constantly when you were, I've been, it's in my mind as soon as we started this conversation. He has an amazing idea. You know, older people would understand and appreciate the idea, but I don't know how is he going to sell it to the young guy who is already used to the casino style of thinking, right? Oh, Bed Bath and Beyond went up or something, you know, and like, whoa, and then over here you're bringing in, hey, you can save $5, you're losing that, and over there like, oh, let me lose that, but I might make some money in Dogecoin or something like that. So it's but having said that, the other thing is, people always go into this casino style of thinking, including myself. I went into, I'm like I'm a full analog person, anti those kind of things. During the pandemic, you cannot believe it. During the pandemic, I saw a bunch of Elon Musk tweets of Dogecoin.
We all consumed
I was like, Dogecoin, how do you buy, you know, where do you buy that? And I found it on my Robinhood. And I was like, okay, let's buy some Dogecoin. And at that time it was very cheap. So like 1 million Dogecoin I bought. I think 50 grand or something like that. And then Elon went on SNL.
Oh.
I made a tremendous profit.
Congratulations, man.
So that story beginning is great for me, but ending is not. So I was, you know, at the top. I'm like, I'm a genius. I'm like a Wall Street guy. I'm like a total. I bought the first thing ever, and immediately, and then I sold it. I made a profit. I think 4 times or whatever, 4 or 5 days, whatever, something like that.
That's amazing.
The next year, or I think later on, I thought, I know this very well. I'm like pro. One Elon tweet that got me, you know. So I bought. It wasn't a meme stock or anything. It was just some company. I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna try out. This is called you know, in private equity, and they do the, you know. Activist investor, right? The activist investor, they take on a part of the company, and then they. So I thought, you know what? I want to be an activist investor. I'm like a pro.
Sounds amazing.
You know. So I tried that, and they figured out, and I was doing it right on the Robinhood.
Okay.
I would know nothing. I was trying to be an activist investor right on Robinhood, and they figured that somebody's buying up bulk of their stock. They did a stock split. They diluted me 10 times. They almost wiped me out, but I tried to get out, and so all my Elon gain wiped out the next year because of me thinking I'm so much better than who I was. You know, so these happens. Even if your these kids, they get lucky with Doge, with Bed Bath and Beyond, whatever it is, they're gonna get over cocky. They're gonna be overconfident, and they're gonna try to be activist investor. They're gonna be like, oh, I'm like David Rubenstein now, you know, and boom, they're gonna get killed as soon as they get into Wall Street, because some of these are. In stock market, they're doing it legally. The stock split is not illegal. They're doing it legally. But they have an understanding that sitting on Robinhood, you don't. You know, because you don't have a team to figure, oh, they're going to do that. You should already know.
There's a lot that goes into it, right?
So a lot of financial knowledge.
That goes exactly.
So at that moment, I was so down. I was just like completely, you know, I was like, okay. But that's what you were asking me in the beginning, the inspiration for the podcast. After that, I was like, I'm going to go public. I'm going to go and destroy these people, because, you know, I had a great idea for them, for that company. It was a staffing business running horribly. I had a fantastic idea, business plan. I was going to be the activist investor, take on, I think I bought like 6% of that company, and, you know, they diluted me, completely destroyed me, and then I got out. But if I got in, I thought I could increase the value 5 times or 10 times of that company. You know, so that was my good intention.
That's amazing. As an investor, that's really rare. You know that, right? So,
and that's the problem. Wow. It was rare, and, you know, other guys are like, yeah, we know, we're gonna kill him. You know, so they got me. You know,
that is true.
And that's when I kind of also the podcast. I'm like, okay, let's start building a platform of talking about things. You know, so that at least people get to know, and, you know, you have a thing. But you know, that brings me at that moment. If you offered me this service, I'd have got into it immediately.
Really?
Because I wanted to, at that moment, I wanted to do soul searching, financial sanity. Not the casino anymore. Right.
Wow,
at that time,
great.
I was like, okay.
Wow, that's great.
But I had good businesses running at that time, so I did not go bankrupt or anything. It was just the gain from Elon got wiped out plus a little more. So it's just an embarrassment and things like that. Other than that, it was just a peaceful thing. But I did a lot of soul searching and the financial software I was looking at, and I realized there's just so many things on the credit cards that I don't even know.
Financial literacy is like, I don't even know where to begin. It's something we're still talking about. You know what I mean? Figuring out. I like what you said about financial soul searching.
Oh yeah.
If that's okay with you,
Yeah.
Can I use that?
Yeah, I come up with these words. It's not like a.
I'd love to use that. I'd love
Absolutely.
That sounds amazing to me. It is exactly that. It's financial soul searching. It's like, why do I have to make a life decision at the gas pump? Why? Why do I have to decide whether I can do this or that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a lot of the things, and myself included, man. I'm not here to point fingers. I always point myself first at myself, and like, okay, why can't you do that? And I start to study and analyze myself. That's when I really dove into it. And you're absolutely right. It's sort of like when you dive in, you realize just how deep this goes.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, and you're like, so you're right. The people are looking for. I think that soul searching for financial freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, I want to do more. I want to go do this. I want to be able to go here, And that's what I mean by it's going to be more fun. Imagine a world where everyone can have a good time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're good financially. I think personally, a lot of the weight that comes from societal, burdens, it comes from people who are stressed, which sort of always finds a way to boil down to money.
Yes.
Always, somehow.
Always.
You're like, it's because of him, or it's because of this, it's because of this. And then you keep following that, it's because there's no money. You know what I mean? It's like, I want more, I want to do this. And and you're like, okay, if we can solve that, let's try to solve that. We can get something, spin the flywheel, get it going, try to figure it out. You know what I mean? So, man, that's interesting.
Seeing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was another point that you pointed out. You asked me, like, how are we going to marry the two? I think with youngsters, what's nice about youngsters is that, and this is something I've personally, I see it. My partner, she brings it up a lot, but I really first saw it with her. And I realized that.
So your partner, that's Lucy.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So Lucy is also with us. Lucy, you want to get in the camera, or not today? Okay. So that's important because you got another partner. That's your co-founder.
Yeah. So
it's a technical partner.
Yeah. No. She's my life partner. He's my business partner.
Oh yeah, business.
I use the word, interchangeably. And it's yeah. So she, and so. Yeah, she pointed out something that's really interesting.
Yeah.
There's a line below us, the youngsters who want to, they really care about social causes, man.
Oh,
they really do.
Yeah.
And that can be a gateway for us, to introduce to say, hey, I know you care about this. I'm gonna give you what you need in terms of this, but also look at all the other ways I could help you out with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, try this, try that, try this, and the goal is that. You try them. The goal is, if you try all of them, then you're like living this ultimate, like, okay, you're good financially, right? But even if you just use one aspect of it, it should still help you to some degree.
This is a huge point because this thing I never understood very well because I think I'm beyond that age. That these young people I talk to, and a lot of some of the founders that came in here, they're like 23 years old, and a lot of them I talked to. Some influencers came in, they're like in their very early 20s. They always talk about the cause behind the product. And I was like, throughout my entire life. When I had nothing, I was looking at the cheapest with the most benefit I can get. If it's a food, then it's bigger food that gives more carbs or calories with the cheapest money. Whatever it is, that's how. And then it got into. I never thought, that burrito or the burger that's frozen that had a cause, or they tweeted something. It never occurred to me, right? And now it's like a boycotting this because they stood for a different cause that I don't support. Or things like that. I was like, wow, that's maturity. In a sense, that's these kids.
true.
That's like that was beyond me. I could not even imagine that. Right?
Yeah, same.
Wow. So that's actually
Yeah.
they're learning about the world.
Yeah.
So maybe I think they would be more accepting of these product
Yeah.
because they have seen it, and your sole goal is to help people learn the finances of their own finances.
Of their own finances.
Right?
Exactly. Of understanding themselves financially, you know what I mean? And getting them to the point where they can prosper, they can have more money, you know what I mean? That's really, really the focus. But I also want to add to the fact that it's not that I just see that opportunity, that gap, and I want to exploit it. It is that I'm the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand there are some things that you're like, wow, I don't really stand with this, and I kind of, so that's where I resonate.
Yeah.
And I thought I was weird, and Lucy was telling me oh, that's not weird. It's like it's just the Portland way.
He's very supportive.
Yeah, man, you know what I mean. And then after more conversations, I was like, wait, is this the same way? Whoa, and you start to see the causes that are rising and things like, wow, these people feel the same way. You ask co-founders, co-workers, and of course my co-founders, everyone, and they feel the same way. You're like, wow, this is a thing, right? And we're not just a corporation that's trying to slap a good cause on the top just to make money. That's something I need to use. Like, if it's okay with you, I want to use your platform to amplify that.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
that's not who we are. And if that's how we come off, then I apologize because I need to correct that brand right now. This is who we are.
Yeah.
To the core. It literally permeates itself down to the questions that we make on the drawing board when we're thinking about these things. We're sitting back. We don't start by saying, okay, how much are we going to charge?
Yeah.
We don't start by, it's like, I want to build something, I want to use, I need the help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we dig down and we're, okay, how can we use this? And we look at technology as a tool, software as a tool.
Yeah.
It's not the end goal. Money is not the end goal. The end goal is if you're okay, and she's okay, and everybody's okay, that's the end goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're hyper-focused on the consumer.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And you're also building a community for them so they can share their ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
what they're feeling. Because sometimes, you brought in this, the financial aspect in any relationship is very, very important.
Yes,
Because
100%.
a lot of times, if you're not able to talk about your finances directly and transparently with your partner, that's not going to work out.
Yes, 100%.
It's just not going to work out.
Yes, 100%.
Because that's what makes us in the core, right? But then the thing is, you cannot go out and talk about finances to a lot of people because everybody has different goals.
Yeah, they have different goals. Right. They have different ways of. A lot of people feel touchy about it.
Yeah.
It's a very touchy subject. Oh, you want to talk about my pocket?
Like,
I get it. I completely understand. If we can bring down those weird barriers around talking about money, I think that's okay. I think that's more than okay. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't have anything.
Yes, actually, that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's like, but if I'm not gonna go and work, I'm not gonna contribute, I'm not gonna be, then you start to ask questions.
Yeah.
You see, there's a separation. You tell you, I don't have anything, but let's work. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Hey, this is life. Life is like this. Sometimes you're the top, sometimes you're the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? And you want to, make sure that you can, come back on top.
Yeah.
Right? But we also want to make sure that we have tools built in place. These things exist, Tom.
Yeah.
These things exist. They exist. Not for us, but they exist. So, what does it look? What does the world look like if we put those things into everybody's hands and say, hey, you can do this, you can come together? And a lot of people, it's the thing that there's a whole quadrant, that what you know, what you don't know, blah, blah, blah. And so the quadrant where it's like the things that you don't know, you don't even are aware of, it's like that's the point where it has the most value. Because there's so much value, there's opportunities waiting for people they might not even know. Right? They might not know. They might not know that this thing is ready for investment. Or it's so insular. Only those who are playing the game.
Yeah.
So how can I know?
Yeah.
Right? And to bring it back to your point, you say when you were on Robinhood, you start feeling emotions, and we understand that as well, right? Because it's a Softwurx, we're a mission-driven studio, and our focus is to create software that's progressive and ethical, that's more humane, right? So that we put the human at the center. Not the technology, the human, it's the person at the center. right? And we understand things like psychology
Yeah.
and human emotions, and we understand like what drives an impulse and whatnot. So we you're fighting those things as a human. If we pass those along to a computer, you know what I mean? It would have known that. It would have said, it would have pulled your money out. It would be like, you know what, this is an anomaly based on 20 years of history looking at these things. This AI is crunching things that we could never catch. And tell you, this what happened last year, this is an anomaly. Keep that money and pull it out. And not even give you that ability to say, oh, I'm the G, I'm the top G, you know what I mean? You know, kind of get you. Because I'll be honest, I go through that as well myself. And sometimes it's weird. Just when I start feeling that way again, it's when life hits.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, boom, damn, shoulder, what happened? I thought I was at the top. Okay, and not, you know what I mean? Like the universe is like, no, come back down, come back down. You have a mission at heart. You got to stay humble. You got to stay down to the ground. You know what I mean? And so staying at the ground is where it's all at.
Yeah.
That it's like knowing the issues and just listening and not even talking, just listening.
Yeah.
You know, and just hearing that. And people share. People say, you hear it. It's weird. It's in there. It's in there. Yeah. It's crazy. But I digress.
I love it because, I love this thing because, you develop this product first for yourself.
Yeah.
Any product anybody develop to solve their own problem eventually solve billion people's problems. Because almost all of us have similar problems.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I had a mentor who said the opposite. He said you gotta go find somebody out there and solve their problems. But it's weird because almost all the products that I've built, that I've worked personal, that have taken off, that have seen that hockey stick, have been problems that I want to solve for myself.
For yourself.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
I think his idea is good that, to go out, find a lot of people that have different problems, analyze them. So that's a statistically that could be more successful.
It is statistically
Whereas,
more successful,
the problems I have, that own experience. So I see the point. But the thing is, even if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, he was trying to find friends.
Yeah.
Right? He built that just for himself. and then, now he controls human communication in the world.
Yeah, I was looking at a stat. He owns like 3 of the companies that are like together. It's like 60, 70. This is my own calculations. It's like 70% of like human population.
Yes, that's
on
correct.
these platforms. It's like, wow, there's like so many of us, 6, 7 billion of us. Like 5 billion of them are on his products, and he can make decisions for them. He can decide those things. Like what? It blows my mind. It's kind of like,
it's insane, and I'll bring this up because his threads came out yesterday, but I think we're going to publish this video quite a bit later, before the product launch. But I downloaded it, and I think it's a good. It's going to be a competition for Twitter, because his ability to copy something is uncanny. It's just so good that he bought the WhatsApp and integrated that. Instagram, the way he brought the reels in there.
Yeah.
So he sees things and brings it into his product in a way that no one has. And with Threads, I think he saw the opening when Elon spent the $44 billion. And he's like, okay, I got this. Let me start copying. So his team, and it was pretty good for the first day. It was. I was like, okay,
not bad.
So that's because he got a lot of boost from his Instagram because it's fully integrated with that. So a lot of the young people or people that are more picture oriented or video oriented, they're like automatically jumped in, whereas Twitter is more political platform, things like that. So, but that's good for him because these are the people spending a lot more screen time. They're not arguing about a topic, they're just so this is good for his advertisers, for his pocket. So he understands what to do. So I think that was a genius move. I was blown away because we saw the TikTok coming out and like completely destroying competitors. And so that was a surprise, and we were like, okay, Mark's time is over. Zuck time done. He is gone. And then he came back. And the persistence. He doesn't like, oh, I have done enough social communication. Let me go build rockets, or let me go into e-commerce. He can do anything he wants, but he kind of stays within the zone. Right? Like, okay, communication, I understand. Let me go into this. Let me go into that. And that's where you are coming in because you were solving your own problem. And so you're like, oh, okay, how do I solve that? And then your friend had a similar problem, then you're solving that.
Yeah.
And then your customers are giving you feedback that, hey, we got this problem.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, let me solve that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I'll tell you something backstory. It's sort of like we didn't even have access to ChatGPT. We didn't have access to it. Was before that time. We didn't even you know. We were working on it way before. We were working on it way before. It was not in the current shape. We did not know we want to go full product. We were just like literally just still piecing the things together, learning about these things. Man, I devoured like a week's worth of content on YouTube, just on finding channels like Alux.
Alux.
Yeah, they were pretty good. But that's like the commercial, like top, like cream of the crop, the top. But then once you dive deep, and you get into like the Harvard Business School videos.
Oh yeah.
They put up the whole lecture, and you follow the entire curriculum. It's crazy. Like you can just eat up so much information. And then it was a build up to that, you know. So we were consuming. We were trying to put all this, package it up into something that's very small, very light. The prototype, the very beginning prototype, we gave it a name, right? It's it's weird, but it's not even paradoxical. It was the before. It was the prototype we just put out was called Cha-Ching. Right.
Oh, Cha-Ching.
Yeah, that was the prototype. It was like that was the idea. I wanted to put it out. We wanted to share with the world, you know, just like a throw it out. Let's see what that's what we're working on, right? And at the time, in the innovation lab, we had two products running side by side. Actually, we had more than that, but the two that were like live and going at it were Rescue Fund, this mobile game that's also mission-driven, right? All the projects at Softwurx are mission-driven. So Rescue Fund is a mission-driven game to bring awareness towards the rescue for animals, right? Yeah. So you usually like rescue, you show you really disturbing images, and sometimes which is okay. Yeah. But then you play the game, it's more fun, and you do that when you play the game. You know, whatever proceeds we make, 50% of that we give it to like animal shelters and things like that, right? We just give it away. So that was running at the same time Cha-Ching was running as a prototype, right? Wow. And Rescue Fund had more hours put into it, so it was a bit more mature as a product, and they were moving. And eventually, Cha-Ching started taking off on its own. I just tell Lucy, hey, this is happening, you know. And then I'd tell my friends and my coworkers and like, hey, this is what's going on. And this is a really cool guy from Turkey. He sort of walked me through it, and you know, we looked at it, and we're trying to get Rescue Fund to get up, and we kind of put Cha-Ching aside. We're like, okay, let's focus on this game because we want to go more on it. And then again, Cha-Ching kept coming. People were downloading it. Tom, it was it's a manual. It's basically a calculator app. There are two calculators put together. That's like an expense calculator and a deposits calculator. And you go in and you say, okay, I just paid $200 in gas, or you punch it manually as you're using your card, right? And then you switch over to another section of the app, and it shows you like charts and breaks down, and gives you like a lifespan of your how you're doing financially. Yeah. And it was getting downloads. People were downloading it, and people are still trying to, still using it. It's crazy. It's just a prototype. It had nothing advanced, nothing too crazy. And then the introduction of ChatGPT came in. This was the very, very early stages, maybe like a year plus ago. I was lucky, one of the first few people to get access to the API, and we started messing around with it. And I just sat back and I was like, change. This is going to change everything. You know, at that point, we already had the auto smart investing system engine going, where it would learn, like it's a predictive analysis engine basically that tries to figure out when is the perfect time to invest and when to sell. And so at that point, we already had the communication engine going. We had the internal sort of breakdown, financial reports breaking down. And then I was just sitting back and I was like, my God, this is going to be crazy, man. So just interacting with the API, connecting it, and saying, oh, wow, this is something. Just like, this is like, I just had that moment. Like, this is something. That was the moment when it sort of started formulating into like, okay, let's change focus. Let's try to focus on this, try to develop an R&D. That's sort of my forte. It's just like, I prototype really fast. I've been doing this for like more than a decade at this point. You know what I mean? Previous, I sold that, I moved on, like I do this, so I understand how to put it together. And so, man, it was crazy. It wasn't until we got hacked. Our development servers got hacked, and I will admit, it was my fault. It was completely my fault. I was an idiot. I left the remote access on completely, and because I was, man, come on, man. I was trying to build. We were going on vacation. I was trying to have some fun. We come back, and everything is off. 6 months worth of back-end work stolen, everything locked out. We were completely locked out, you know what I mean? Don't have access to any of our databases, any of the code bases, nothing of the latest technology work, right? Again, my fault, didn't back it up. I was just feeling on top of the world. This is what I was telling you about. I was like, we figured it out. This is gonna happen, right? Rescue Fund is starting to take off. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Boom, we got hacked. Whole system's down. Everything's down. Rescue Fund's down. Cha-ching is down. You know, all the other prototypes are down. We can't move. We can't do nothing. So now this is the moment where I think was probably the most epic pivot for the company. I sit back. And this is where that idea was, where we got to do everything on device. This is when it started. Because I was sitting back and I was like, okay, they stole Rescue Fund data, which thank God was just basically keeping, you know, account of how many bubbles you pop, how many lives and things like that. So it's nothing like, oh, you don't really care about that data, right? So it's like, so it's still bad, but it's still like, okay, not bad. And then I was like, what if that was financial information? What if that was people's private information just sitting on the servers because we want to develop, we want to get smart, we want to do this? What if that happened? We would be done. We'll be in the water, right? So that was really bad because it set us back 6 months. Lesson learned. Learn not to leave things open. You know, be very smart to focus on it. But then also learn to, you know, like the philosophy changed. Now we design for device first. And then cloud second. So it's device first, cloud second. It makes you think. It makes you think about the future as well. Let's think about 50 years from now. Let's think about 100 years from now. People are going to be extremely mobile, Tom. This is my own personal prediction. People are going to be mobile. That's why we focus on mobile first, because people are going to move. They're going to shift. They're going to move around. People are going to hop in their cars and drive, go somewhere, do things. You know, more interaction. This is my own personal interaction. I see it coming. I definitely see it. People are going to hop in with their electric vehicles, go into the wilderness, go on a 3-day hike. You know what I mean? Things have to be mobile first. They have to be local first, right? And then we'll think about the cloud, and we do backups, and we do all that. And then once we got over that, we decided, okay, you know what? Let's figure out building a solid team, right? I learned about the foundations of a startup, like go back to the fundamentals, put together a really amazing team, focus on the things that the core values, like focusing on the customer, figuring out how they operate and how we can deliver options for them. You know what I mean? And then start the business, start doing it right. Because up until that point, it was really haphazard, man. We were trying to put things together. We didn't know what it was, but that's part of the process. It's a very messy process. You don't know what you're building until you build it. It's weird. I know in Silicon Valley, people want to talk all about systems and, you know, predictability, and if you create the same thing, the same outcome again and again, and I'm like, I get it, but that doesn't create. That may maintain, but it doesn't create. So you may maintain, you may run a perfect system every time, and that's okay. You can tweak a little bit, like Apple's philosophy. They tweak a little bit, and they go down for 5 years. They tweak it just like 1 to 2 degrees, and then it's fine. That's okay. But in the space that I want to be in, where I want to create rapid innovation and say, okay, let's take us 10 years from now and bring it back. Let's do 50 years from now, we can bring it back. You can't. You know what I mean? You have to try things, and it's weird. You got to try things. It's weird, you know, until hey, this works. This is amazing. Let's give it to people, and then it starts. That's how it goes.
I see that you have this creator mindset. You're trying to create something, and creation is messy.
It's messy,
right? It cannot be predictable. If it was predictable, then it's not a new thing. It's already
100%.
Right. So you know, you gotta try out, break things. So, but that especially that example, that story you mentioned about that you're getting hacked. Wow, and then you got the idea of the device first. You know, that's a big thing. You know, when people using your product, they'll be like, okay, my data on my device. You know, I don't have to worry about somebody getting hacked. I don't have to worry about any of that.
Exactly.
Because, you know, all these, I think Equifax got hacked a couple of times, and then Marriott, so many big corporations got hacked so many times with millions of people's credit card information in the Marriott system and all of that. And then it kind of gets buried in the media, sometimes if they're influential, things like that. But you know, for a common person, they don't want these to be all in the open market.
On open market. Right? I mean, we still get scam calls.
You
know what I mean? Scam likely is our best friend. Whoever he is or they are, because it's out there. You know what I mean? And so I mean, a little bit backstory of my previous startup. I did work in the privacy sector. I actually focused on algorithms. that conceal people's digital footprints. We wanted to make sure that communication was very discreet. I know I did that research for a while. I know a lot of people would say, oh, if you don't have anything to worry about, then why do you care about privacy? I don't believe in that. I think that even though I don't do anything, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't do anything in their homes. They just sit back, but they just want to be able to sit back in their own privacy and just relax and just know that they're in their own space. And so that's one of the schools I really adhere to. Two is, of course, the proud. I was so confident because I never been hacked before. Can you even call it being hacked if you leave the door open? I left the window open, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not even being hacked. But an intruder came in. He took this stuff. I felt violated, man. I was like, this is weird. This is terrible. And so they came. They took all the information, apparently uploaded it somewhere, right, and put it out there. And so that was the second thing that was really, really like, oh my God, this is something we got to think about. And three. It just so works out that it's a lot less cheaper.
Yes, I was thinking about
it helps us out too. You know what I mean? And so that's finally the triple bottom line, right? Like boom, boom, boom.
For an investor, they're going to be, because AWS cost is the biggest thing the investors are paying for.
Huge. Amongst next to salary.
Most of Amazon's profit comes from the AWS, and so it pays for a lot of these logistics and shipping, and that's funded by all these venture capitalists,
100%.
and who probably also owns Facebook and Amazon stock. So it's kind of like a loop, Oh, I got the money from there, and I'm using that to again pay it back to them, and then I'm advertising with Mark Zuckerberg, who I just made money from. So it's like money floating around in a chain.
It's literally that,
right?
Yeah.
And you are coming up with this device. I think this is going to be a revolution down the road.
So, man. I really hope so. Thank you so much.
And this is going to be something, the device first idea. And then you could be a device agnostic, because you could be in all the devices, whether it's a Vision Pro or whatever.
We were already thinking about that. We were just thinking about how it could be floating, because we want to introduce the world to Luna. Luna is so we're giving the AI a name.
Oh, that's your AI, Luna. Okay, not Lucy AI.
No. No, it's called Luna. You know why? Because Luna means moon.
Oh,
and
like the
Luna's
lunar.
Up all night. Exactly. So Luna is all night. It's a 24/7 service. It helps you out.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's why we call it Luna. And
Luna AI. Because nowadays, everybody has some names. I think Bank of America has something. I forgot that, Erica or something like that. All the names are taken. Nobody took Tom. They're like, that's too common. We can.
Talking Tom, though. You know Talking Tom?
Yes, that is a massively popular game. And
I loved it. It was amazing. And so does every little kid in the world. I promise.
Right?
Yeah,
Talking Tom is just so popular, and that's the problem with the Tom name, because even yesterday I was watching. I think Tom Cruise. I think his new movie Mission Impossible just came out.
I still haven't seen it, man. I gotta go see it. Is it good?
I haven't seen it yet, but I saw him in the interview.
Oh, okay.
And every time he goes on an interview, he's just so passionate about his stunts and how he was measuring the each second. If it took him 3.5 seconds to jump, it would have happened. He would have hit the mountain, and it puts me in awe. Like, oh my God, I gotta change my name. I cannot be sharing name with, he's just so passionate. You can't compete with that. He's just so good. Man, this is, but
I don't like to compare. I think you guys are both great.
Oh yeah, that is probably the highest compliment I ever received. Thank you. This is paradoxically is my first. Is gonna be. That guy, he said something good about me. I love it. I gotta use this. So thank you, Ali, for that. So Ali, paradoxically, Luna, Lucy, you introduced me a lot of names. So I gotta remember.
Yes, a lot of names.
So man, another important thing. The serial entrepreneurship, which is because you have dedicated your entire life into creating new things. All these learning experiences that are coming, that are also from these things you're creating, whether somebody hacking it or whatever it is, right? So walk us through after college, or how you were kind of thinking through in this entrepreneurial journey?
Man, I love that question. I think that, okay, well, I'm glad you asked the background story. I personally, I didn't finish college.
Okay. Yeah. But see, dropouts usually become the next thing, so that's a big thing. That's a good thing.
Thank you. I didn't want to become a big thing. It's weird. Actually, when I first started school, college, university, I did go for about a semester. Prior to that, my focus was to go into design. I wanted to go into automotive design. That was my primary focus. Wow. And so when I came here, I was in South Africa. So I was in Saudi for about 8+ years, and then I moved to South Africa for about 8+ years, and then I moved here. And once
you speak perfect English. Where did you get that?
Movies. It was amazing.
Oh!
I watched a lot of movies, bro.
Whoa!
I watched a lot of movies. There was one summer, I probably killed more than I want to say 50+ movies. And that was on the low end. I'm pretty sure it was more.
Yeah.
You might remember. There was a time when there was external hard drives and friends were passing them.
Yeah.
There were movies on there, and it was ripped or whatever, and I had nothing to do. Yeah. It was the summer that I transitioned from South Africa to here. And so the year was a little bit mismatching, because here the year starts in August, September, whereas South Africa starts in January, and so they don't have the 3-month summer break, the 2.5-month summer break. So it was weird. So they pulled me out just to wait, because I had to just wait until May to come, because then it was from January to May, so I did nothing. I did nothing, bro. I did absolutely nothing. I just watched movies and I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I even watched things like Gossip Girl. It was on there. I literally just watched it, and I was just I was so bored, and I watched so many things, and I learned the nuances and how to pronounce and how to speak well. Also, I read a lot of books. Yeah. I don't read as many books anymore. I tend to listen to them now.
Yeah, podcasts and things like that.
Audiobooks.
Yeah, audiobooks. The Audibles, Spotify, and all those.
And while driving, it's weird. Music is starting to kind of fall down just because I want to consume more. I want to expand my brain. So that's really where the English comes from. Yeah. But to go back to the story, I wanted to go into automotive design. I wanted to do that. My mom was like, "You should try this in high school." This is high school. So we come here. She's like, "You should try this elective class. Try it out." I was like, "Okay, no problem." I didn't want to do it. I just reluctantly signed up, and it was a programming class. Yeah. And I still remember my teacher's name is Mr. Adney. He introduced me to the whole world of programming. I understood about computers and that before. You know what I mean? When I had one, it was about playing video games or doing weird things or clicking around or just messing around. No problem. I was interested because I would open them up and I would look inside and see, well, what is all this green stuff, right? And then figuring it out from there. My brother-in-law also introduced me to his college book. It was an Intro to Java book. It was a book this thick. I still remember carrying it around. My mom always asked me, "Are you ever gonna read that?" And I was like, "Yeah, maybe." And I would go through it, but it was weird because it was English, but it wasn't English. It was a different language, right? And I was young, bro. I was really young, 14 maybe at the time, and so I was like, "What is this?"
Wow!
I would mess around. I'd put it one side, go back. Okay, try again. You know what I mean? No problem. Put it back, and I didn't care. I like design. I was really interested in human things, somebody figured out how to design this, how to hold it. Was there thought behind it? The colors, selection. Of course, there's limitation to production and things like that. And you got to think about those things. But I was interested in that. I love cars. You know what I mean? I always tell myself, probably in the future, I'm probably gonna have a collection. I see you the type of man too. You probably want to have a collection as well. I definitely can see. So you probably might already have one. Who knows?
Not very big, very small. I stick to Porsche, not the Teslas yet. I'm more of an analog person, so any digital, I'm like, let's wait a little bit. Let's wait for Ali to improve it a little bit, and then we'll think about it.
That's funny.
I love that design thinking.
That's what I started, man. Even in South Africa, in high school, I took to more the creative things, trying to figure out. All my friends are musicians, artists of some sort, you know what I mean? It's weird, it's just always gravitated towards that. I just like the creation process. But I also really understood computers, and I understood the technical aspects of things, and I understand how how when you make something and it can impact so many people.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was my first stint. I get into the programming class, and I zoom into this part of the story because I just want to give you that little bit of first introduction. Like, whoa!
Yeah.
I walk into class, man. And it's this guy, my teacher. He's a military guy, very stand-up guy, very like this,
Yeah.
you know. And I was very kind of weird kind of kid, like kind of like. Whatever, it goes, you know, scrawny, like whatever, you know what I mean? It goes, you know, and he's like this. And so the two worlds collide, and he'll be like, you know, you gotta learn this. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know what I mean? But I'll be real with you. I looked at it, I liked it, but I wasn't confident enough, so I was scared to even approach it. So that's that moment right there where I didn't understand. I was really scared of it, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was like, it's not that I'm thinking I'm smart, I just felt like I'm not gonna get this. You know, my brain came up with so many different reasons. These kids they've been in this way longer than I have. I don't know this. These guys, they've been doing it. You know, look at them, they're going at it. I'm never gonna get this. This is gibberish, right? But he taught me something that I carry, that literally still I carry to this day. Yeah. And sometimes you just gotta push through. You gotta come in after class, come in after school, whenever you have a minute. I'll hang around. For you, like, look how cool he was. For you, I'll hang around, come back, and whatever you need help with, I'll guide you, but I'm not gonna show you how to do it. You gotta learn how to do it for yourself. What? I gotta learn this whole thing? Yes. You got, what? This is gonna take forever. No problem, come. You know, and in the beginning, I would show up 50% of the time, sometimes I'd come half late, and then one day he was just like, look, I'm not gonna be around you. Do you want me to stick around or not? And I felt that seriousness, and I was like, okay, let me try. The first few weeks it sucked. It really did. It was terrible. Excuse my French. But it was tough. It was tough. Learning this computer world was just like, whoa, you know. And it was weird. To paint a picture, I was kind of walking through this little black hole, and like reality was, as I was walking in, reality is kind of shifting behind me, and things that mattered or things that it's just all gone. It was all gone. And the only thing that mattered was like, okay, how do you make this thing work? Yeah. How does this thing work? And I would dive in. That was the beginning of my night owl phase, you know, which lasted like 8+ years. And from time to time, I still try, it still sucks me in, you know, but that was the time. So I would go to school, come back, go back to his class, stay until like 5 o'clock, you know what I mean? And the cool thing is that there were a couple other guys, students, who would come in and take advantage of this, right? And over time, it got to the point where other students would come in, play video games. He was kind of okay, but he separated the two. He's like, okay, this group, you're gonna do what you need to do. In this group, you can use that side of the class. And it was cool over time. But overall, that's when I started getting into it. Tom, I would be at, you know, bell games or you know, practice or things like that. I'd be looking at this stuff, like looking at how to figure out, you know, code and stuff like that. Like, what is this stuff, man? You know what I mean? Like, and so dive in. My friends were like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? You used to train with us. What's happening? I'm like, bro, I don't understand it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like, why do you care? And I'm like, it's some part of me just wanted to know more, right? So I would go to practice. Of course, soccer is like top. So I'm, you know, professional athlete here. So I put that, of course, because that allows me to stay healthy. It allows me to stay fit. Keeps my mind
That's why you're so fit.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You know, it allows me to stay focused because it's a very programming / coding / startup world. Entrepreneurship is an athletic sport. It's for the mind and also for the body. You have to stay sharp. You have to stay, you know, you have to think, execute. Execution takes 1 second, the thinking takes a whole 59 seconds. So there's your minute gone. Right? And so it's literally like that, right? So I still would do that, come home, you know, help my mom with whatever. Like, it used to be a chore. I used to fight my mom, like, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. But I got to a point where I wanted to get to the code, and I would rush and get things done, put that aside, and go in. I would sit down. This would be like maybe 5 in the afternoon, 6 in the afternoon, maybe, you know, around 6 in the afternoon. I wouldn't leave my desk until like 2:30 in the morning, 3, wake up at 6 in the morning, 7 to go to school, back to I would do this. This started in like sophomore year. So like I did this for like 2 years. There was a weird year that they skipped me. It was weird. But anyway, so I did that for like 2 years. I was just doing this, man. And then that time I was building weird things. I was just, whatever came to mind. I built a flashlight app. I built a fart app. It's weird. I built so many like random things, you know, like horns, stuff like that. I lost count. I started just building. At that point, I was starting to just produce so much. Then this guy reached out. He was like, hey, like, you know, like, I see that you're really focused on this. He was from Microsoft, and he was like, yo, come out to our campus in MIT in Boston. And I was like, okay, I've never been on a train by myself. I don't have any money. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Things like that. And so I basically just took a couple minutes, spoke to my family about it. They figured out a way to get me the ticket, and I went. And I get there, and they're just like, more guys like me, man. They're so smart, like so smart. Like you have no idea, Tom. I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, again, I'm faced with that scenario where it's like I'm feeling like. Yeah. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's first, like, again, there's the skin tone situation. There's, like, feeling inferior, like, all these things. These guys have been in, like, top schools, paid for private schools for all their lives, again, in the same scenario. And so, the guy was like, I want to introduce you to one of the guys, at the campus. And we started talking about it, and he, like, learned about it. And he was like, look, I think maybe we can work something out here. I told him straight up, I'm like, hey, paperwork is a kind of an issue at the time. I don't know how to get paid. I just finished high school. Literally, I just graduated high school. This was the summer of finishing high school. I was still supposed to apply for college and things like that, and move on, things like that. So I get like this really cool opportunity with Microsoft to kind of help them pump more apps into their app store. So I've switched over to like .NET, Microsoft technology.
Yeah, the ASP.NET.
Yeah, like all that stuff. And I started focusing on that, and now it goes from like this hobby to like a more systematic way of creating. And it's like, oh, I see, I understand. Like 8 a.m. Monday morning, there needs to be a build ready to be shipped, you know what I mean? Like it's a business now, you know what I mean? How many apps have you gotten out? What do they look like? At that point, the nice thing though, at the very beginning, and not many people know this, is at the very beginning of the whole app craze, right? Like circa 2010, 2011. It started before then, I'll be honest. Yes, it's true. But I think that was around the time when apps, really people started to see apps as a more of a prominent daily life thing. Right? Like, oh my God, Instagram was just released. Oh my God, this was just released. You know what I mean? You remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like around that time. But in the beginning, it was so sweet. All you had to do was just upload. That's it. No marketing, not even tell your friends and family about it.
Yeah.
And you'll immediately get 10, 15, 100 downloads. It was crazy, man. It was weird. It could be the simplest thing, and it was just, of course it was terrible. Nobody would use it. And then so after that, I focused a little bit more on that for a little bit, tried to go to college. There was a whole weird screw up with that. I ended up going for one semester, and it didn't work out because of systems they've had mismatching again, those gaps that I've experienced throughout all those times, just keep falling in between those gaps. And every time I would hop over the gap, a few of my colleagues will fall in, and people get stuck there for a while, and they can't get out, and it's you learn. But while my stint there, my co-founder at the time, we're working on something again, researching, just actively doing weird things. I like to create things.
Yeah.
I like to make things. I like to tinker.
The creator.
I like to say, okay, how can we do this? How can we put this together? Can we do this? And so I was doing that, and I stumbled upon this algorithm that figures out how to minimize your footprint on online, and figure out how does it fit within a system of servers and things like that, and enable private communication, encryption, all that stuff. And so I'm like, okay, cool. This time I'm just messing around, and so my co-founder is like, another friend introduces him, and he's like, I need you to talk to this guy, and he's like, come to my office. I want to see what you're working on. People are talking about it, and I was like, okay. I had no idea about entrepreneurship. I had no idea this was a thing, and there was like a founders and the startup world and these things. But like, I'm telling you, this was like 2014 around that time. 2014, 15, those couple of years, just learning. I mean, I didn't know about Boss, and you can start your own company, and it's something you do in your 40s or 50s, you know what I mean, and things like that. And I didn't think about this. You just make stuff, and I wanted to go into design, right? After that programming class, I wanted to double major. I wanted to do design and computer science, and I eventually didn't go to school at all, but I ended up sticking to both of those disciplines. I really enjoyed learning about design and all that, and bringing that over. So this guy was like, all right, man, I'm interested, sounds it's like a $250,000 check, says like, let's build this prototype, let's figure it out, let's build a company around it, let's go in on it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, is this even possible? Like, it doesn't make sense to me, Tom. I'm just like, I didn't know there was such a thing as an investor. To even know there was a separation between angel and VC, to institution, non-institution, accredited, non-accredited, like all of these things. I didn't know any of that. Somebody just said, here's access to the, money, build it, figure it out, let's make it happen. So I'm like, all right, let's make it happen. You know what I mean? And so I think those were like really learning years. That's where I learned a lot. A lot of it I don't, there's some pieces of it I don't remember, and I try to put it together, but the gaps that I do remember, like I just remember like how we would just sit down and just chug away, try to chip at the rock, you know what I mean? Try to chisel this thing and figure out the next step and put in the time, you know what I mean? Like so much time, around the clock time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean like 12 o'clock, 3 in the morning, 10 p.m. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was just a matter of like, did we solve this? Can we advance? Is this something we can do? Keep pushing. I'm tired. No, keep going. Let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, forget about this. You know, like family members started asking questions. They were like, you guys just disappeared. What's happening? Like, well, you know what I mean? Nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And so putting so much into it. And so, you know, unfortunately, things haven't really panned out in a great way. The vision wasn't aligned anymore. And so once our vision started to separate, you know, I was like, okay, let's go up separate ways. 2019, you know, kind of just say, you know what, let's just start new. I was in DC at the time. I just felt like I wanted to be closer to the West Coast. I wanted to be closer to the tech scene. A lot of people say, why you want to be closer? You know, there's so many other cities that are popping up, and I agree, it's true. We need to have more Silicon Valleys around the world, and we have more involvement in the space, because I think it's an amazing space. The fact that you can come up with an idea and somebody has a little bit of money and they can grow that idea a little bit and turn it into something, it's beautiful. And you know, and now the circles that I'm in right now is like, everyone's a founder, everyone's a CEO. It's like all the conversations they have are like, hey man, my traction, man. My traction. I gotta figure out another way. I got my traction, man. Like, you know what I mean? Or I have my team, you know? Like, oh my God, I feel like there's a bottleneck somewhere. It's not working, you know? And it's all the conversations they're having, you know? But at the time I wasn't, I was like trying to figure it out, learning. But then I think everything I learned since then, since like when I started and everything, I don't know how to explain. It was sort of like the prerequisite for what I'm in and what I've been in the last 3 years alone. In just the last 3 years alone, like from 2020 up until now. Remember, like 2019, I remember like December-ish, around that time, maybe January 2020, I sold that company. I let go of my shares. I was like gonna make the jump. You know, I cleared out all my debts. I figured out, like, you know what, whatever it is, I'm just gonna point the needle that way, and I don't care. I'm just gonna make it happen. Put my back towards it. At the time, it was really, really, really intense. So when I did that, my brain, this is where I'm going to start to get into the metaphysical, the spiritual, because that's when I started to let go. So before I actually made it to the Bay, I went to Portland first. That's where I met Lucy.
Oh, wow. So Portland did something good.
Yeah, Portland did something great.
Portland wow. Portland, Oregon, so DC, then Portland.
It was a complete stark difference. You don't understand, because maybe, of course, you've been to DC. You know, it's weird system. It's rigid. It's political. It's governmental. It's like that. Portland is the opposite. It's all about free thinking, and I understand, because I didn't know this before, but Steve Jobs actually. He went to Reed College, I believe.
Yes, and he calligraphy.
Yes, and he started to think about these metaphysical things. And that's the same thing I understand. It's just the culture of Portland and Oregon in general. You know, how they're very relaxed. They call it Portland weird, but I think it's cool. You know what I mean? That's where I actually taught for the first time. You know what I mean? With Lucy, we would just sit on the grass, or just sit back, and just sit and think. For the first time in like the last 10 plus years, where I'm not just running around the clock 24/7. I'm just sitting and I'm thinking and I'm breathing, and I'm starting to see things more clearly. And I was like, oh my God, my brain just started, my synapses started connecting dots, putting things together, understanding everything. I'm telling about everything, from just like personal to business to, you know, relations, and like everything, the world, systems, you know what I mean? And it was the time during the riots. You remember the riots?
Yeah.
It was crazy. I went from the DC riots down to the Portland riots, and it was weird because the week I left DC, that was when the riots slowed down in DC. The week I got to Portland, that's when they got really, really bad.
Oh man.
It was crazy. So I was just sitting there, I was experiencing these things, was happening in real time. And I was like, and you have to understand, I'm an immigrant.
Yeah.
Under all of this, I'm still an immigrant. right?
Yeah.
I have different pieces put together from my perspective. My lens has different glasses made from different pieces around the world.
Yeah.
So my lens has different, the vision. So I'm used to like real things, man. Like real things, man.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I mean, you go to some places like South Sudan with the civil wars back in the day, and it's just Africa. Like sometimes like even South Africa is extremely dangerous. It's like growing up, it's extremely seeing the things that I saw. You know what I mean? Being held up. I was held up at gunpoint.
Oh my God!
I was in school. There was nothing, man. I know friends who got shot, who got stabbed. It was a normal thing. People get robbed. It was crazy. It was crazy, bro. So, so to see things like the riots here, but they were very, very peaceful.
Yeah.
It kind of just changed my approach. It's like, okay, I see here. I see, what's going on here and how they open up their minds to different, ideologies, and how America is still a relatively young country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I come from parts in Saudi Arabia that like these guys are talking about like 1,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Like things like that. You're like, damn, this rock was here. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and they're so proud of it. And like that's why that's your legacy. And like this is what it is. And like that's what it is. Yeah, like 2,000 years ago, things like that. Like you come from places like that, and they tell you, oh, this is the 1800s.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, really? That's great. You know what I mean? It's like 200 years. Amazing. No, 1776. Okay, I'll give you 500 years. How about that? Take that. You know what I mean? Like it's at the same time. So it's seeing the different perspectives. But at the same time, America's skipping the line a lot, But South Africa, if you may know, is also extremely, used to be segregated, and there was extreme racial tension, you know what I mean? So I understand that as well, and I bring that lens into it, and say, okay, how in Portland allow me to really have those conversations, to bring it up, you know what I mean? To in DC, nobody really talks about these things.
Yeah.
They're like, well, come on, bro, what are you talking about? Let's go make some money. Like, let's come on, man. What are you talking about? Like, what is this? You want to be, they call it soft, and so it's considered like being soft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's like once you understand that softness, do you really, really understand humanity? Because humanity is, at the core, we're all that soft.
Yeah.
We all want good for each other. We want to be nice. We want to be good. But it's just weird. There's a concoction of things that are happening at the same time. People are stressed, broke, tired. All these things are hungry. And, it changes the mood and the vibe. And so, yeah, man, that's where I really got who I am today, combined with all the expertise I grew over the decades. And so that gave me the ability to speak the way I can speak today with you. And to share what I share, and to articulate that.
This is a beautiful, beautiful story. That
Thank you.
This is I really appreciate it, and I think if somebody spends the time to listen through the full podcast, I think they're going to really appreciate that. Because a lot of times we hear entrepreneurs, they just talk about their product, the features, the things, but it's all about the experience that sells. It's all about the feeling, how do you feel about that product? And the feel of the product comes from the person that created it.
That's true.
Right?
That is very true.
And all these experiences that you have gone through, whether it's learning English from movies, and a lot of people might say, I have done something similar, might say that, he's just sitting on a couch and watching a movie. What is that? But things, I part of my life, I did not grow up in the U.S. But I moved around quite a bit.
Team immigrant.
So I one summer I literally did what you did. Watch movie. Yeah, I was watching the CSI. All day.
That stuff. Exactly.
Right in Miami, they have New York.
Yes, New York, Miami, all of them. Literally.
And that gave me a better English.
Yes.
And I got a job right after that from Fall.
Wow.
And working as an academic mentor.
Wow.
That gave me a chance to have conversations like this all the time with students in the freshmen and all that. So sometimes in life, these things, as you were saying, everything is connected.
Everything's connected.
Right? The finance problem you're solving, it's part of a bigger mission you have to solve these problems one after another. And it's a lot of times we look at it as a disadvantage of the immigrant life or English or the different things, but or these cracks that you were saying, people fall and they can't get up. It takes a couple of years, and sometimes you lose motivation, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to look backward, like, oh, why did you lose motivation? The other guy did not.
Yeah. It's so easy.
Right?
Yeah.
But
in the moment, it's crazy.
In the moment, it's insane. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna need money. I gotta survive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all one after another. But those things make you who you are. And this is a very, very relatable story, especially in Silicon Valley. A lot of the immigrants, especially, I don't want to make a joke of that, but South Africa, they're producing Elon Musk, the richest man. They're producing, David Sachs, and there's just so many. It's something about South Africa that we need to figure out what's happening.
Somebody has brought that up to me, and I thought about it for a little bit. I'm honored to be put in that category. That's amazing. Thank you so much. But at the same time, I think I really did think about it for a while. I think it has a lot to do with the racial tension that we maybe have trying to overcome, experience, all that put together. I really think so. I think that's what it is. You come out of that weird, Tom. You come out of that weird. You come out and you don't. It's weird. Some people come out and they become so closed about it because of trauma. They understand these experiences. I mean, it sucks. Again, sorry for my language, but imagine stepping out and your car is no longer there.
Yeah.
And you can't call the cops and be like, hey, 911, somebody took my car. They'll be like, great.
Yep.
That's you shouldn't have left it unlocked. Imagine that. So it's like you don't have that backing. You're fighting society. It's crazy. So different people come out, but some people come out and they don't see color. They see humanity. They see what's really going on. They see through it, and they come out. And when they experience things as like America, and they're like, oh my God, they're like this. It's not a struggle. This is great. This is great. Like, what do you mean? Like, let's go. Let's do this. And you see the things. And man, I've seen firsthand seen it. It's crazy. There was one time, and it's a sad story. I don't want to go there, but I'll just briefly go over it.
Sure.
Somebody died outside. We were in Port Sudan, right? We were hanging out with my dad, and he had a business relation going on, and so we were just waiting for him, and we were chilling inside. It was so hot outside. The guy outside climbed into the freezer and still died. There was a freezer outside. There was a shop next to us downstairs to the left, and inside the freezer, they have these do you remember those freezers that you open up like this? You put like this, usually there's ice cream in it or things like that.
Ice cream.
Yeah, so the niceness about these shop owners, it gets so hot that they take out their produce from there and they put these freezers outside. So the homeless can just hang inside during the day because it's too hot. And this guy died inside, even though it's already hot. It's so hot.
Oh man!
And that was just normal. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that was normal. Like you grow up with that. You grow up with people. People coming in, robbing in the house. South African stories are crazy, man. Like people get. I don't want to tell the really bad stories because South Africa is a beautiful country.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. The people are amazing. You talk to them. They're just good-hearted people. Really cool. You know what I mean? But it's unfortunate. But you grow up, you see these things, and you come here, and you're like, all right, let's play. Let's do it. You know what I mean? At the same time you come in, you fight the powers, you know what I mean? Even getting your green card is a mission in itself. You fight the powers and you try to survive it. So it takes you maybe a decade to maybe 10, 15 years to get to the point where others start.
Well, they started.
And that's where they start.
Yeah.
And that's where they start. So it's cool. It's okay. But I'm just looking at things objectively, right? Because it's life. It's okay. It is what it is. It's unfair, but it's collectively fair. It's fine. It's whatever. You know what I mean? And in that regard, that's what I try to put into that. Like you said, put the human first. I really liked about how you said it's how you want to feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that we put the person in the center. How do they feel? Is this helping in any way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What can we do to improve these things? And all these learnings I'm bringing in, trying to put into it, and it's what drives me. It makes me allow me to push through because it's really hard. It's really, really hard. You get a lot of rejections, you get a lot of no's. And sometimes you don't even know what it is you're really truly building. Sometimes you get so deep in the weeds that you don't even know if you're coming or going, if this is the front or the back. You're so deep in it, it's like you don't know where you're at. And it's at those points where you start to question yourself and it gets really dark and it's a balancing that. So the startups that actually make it towards the finish line, It's amazing. It's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, that's
and so again, I want to say thank you for providing this platform, providing us, this the space to talk about these things. Thank you so much, Tom.
This people, any entrepreneur listening, I think they're gonna really appreciate that story. The full story, because a lot of times we don't know, and we start blaming ourselves that we are the only disadvantaged. But once they hear it, and sometimes we always read these things. Oh, that happened to Warren Buffett, or this happened. But you cannot relate.
You can't relate,
right?
Yeah.
How do you relate? It's maybe they got lucky. Maybe they're way smarter than me. Give me a break,
Tom.
right?
That is true.
So
100%.
But when they listen to somebody going through the similar phase, still coming up with new products, still coming up with with an idea, they as an investor, any investors listening, they see the resilience, the experiences that you have gone through, right? That whatever comes your way, you're not going to be, oh my God, I don't know how to. I've seen it. Relax, let's figure this out, right? So this is, I think that's a very relatable story for entrepreneurs, and that would help. And then the other thing I was going to say is a lot of times I meet some people, they have it all figured out.
Oh, that's the other side of it, right? They come out at the very, very end. They're like, "Look what I've done."
Yeah.
Go emulate. You know what I mean? Like no,
or
like how?
Even the startups, some founders, sometimes they're very stubborn or very confident with their product.
Oh yeah.
But the thing you mentioned a lot is the thinking, always breaking it down. Maybe something could be better.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Always questioning that.
Always.
At the end, that works significantly better than, I know what I'm doing. Give me money. I'll take care of that. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work out. Yeah. And that also, it's not just the investment side. When you're gonna bring in your co-founders, your engineers, things like that. Most of my best hires in my entire life has been people that were not that great, but they never stopped. They kept going. They kept going.
Don't quit. Yeah.
Whereas I have seen a lot of professionals. Oh, I have done it 1,000 times. I can get it done.
Yeah.
That has never helped me ever, because them getting it done is not what you want, because you want to be in the creative process. You just don't want, it's not the finished product. The product could be a little crappy, that's fine. I need to know how it's done, why it's done, right? So, and a lot of your best hires would be people that may not have the best qualification.
Well, that is very true.
I think you're going to love that as you go through this process. And, you were saying the Portland, Oregon, or the Silicon Valley. The best thing about it, the worst thing about it is just so expensive. Everything, hiring to housing to anything, to paying people a livable thing so that they can at least code and live there. It's just so expensive. That's one problem, which is a big one. But the good thing is, anybody you meet, they're not going to say, "Oh, that's a terrible idea. Oh, that's stupid. Oh, what are you doing? Your life is gone."
Thank you very much.
So that's where I think people kind of get together and they're like, oh yeah, I see. Oh, I did similar. I made that mistake in my previous startup. And multiple things. When you're trying out multiple things, that's when you get better and better and better.
Yeah, it's an iterative process.
Right?
It's okay. So we think of it as like, okay, we go to the whiteboard and you throw whatever comes to mind and whatever sticks, because what sticks is saying, okay, you and the teammates, you decide, hey, this is a good idea. Let's try it out. This is good according to you, according to your background. Everyone has their say. Everyone agrees this is good, this is great. Then you try it, you execute it. If it doesn't work, okay, take the learnings and try it again. Maybe it just needs a little bit of tweak. Maybe the color is wrong. Maybe the name is wrong. Maybe the demographic is wrong. Maybe something is wrong. And this is something that we open our doors at Softwurx to anybody that wants to come in and have these conversations with us and help drive because we're community based. So we want to make sure that the conversations. That's actually our strategy for rolling out the product. First, we wanted to make sure to get the voices heard, so the community aspects, the messaging, all that baked in first.
Yeah.
So we want to talk to people, figure out, and it's very, very important. Yes, absolutely. Yes, it is 100% important.
Man, I love the story, and to wrap this up, and it's going to be so helpful. So folks, please don't skip. Listen, put it in your car, whatever, wherever you're listening, but do listen to this podcast. And so finally, I want to tell them to download Paradoxly.
Yes, Paradoxly. Paradoxly. Do you know why it's called Paradoxly?
Yeah,
so
what is that?
the whole thing about the LY is like the separate thing that in Silicon Valley everyone adds the LY to it, but the name Paradox was because we were trying to think, can everyone be financially free? That might be a paradox. We don't know. You see what I mean? So we're thinking of it that way. It's our perfect world, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why it's called Paradoxly. Yes, please. We would love it if you could download the app.
Now that you know the meaning behind how it came along, folks, go download and have a conversation with Ollie.
Thank you very much.
He's open door policy.
Open door.
Come on in.
Softwurx, yes. You can go to our website.
So you guys are located at. Where are you located?
So we have a virtual office.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right now.
So you are everywhere. You're
we're
worldwide.
We're worldwide, but we're based in the Bay Area, specifically in Silicon Valley, because we wanted to stay focused. But we have team members across the country, that are across the world as well. We work with different amazing people. Yeah. So that's why I say it's just. By the way,
the team. How big is the team currently? I know you're expanding.
We're expanding. So right now we're in a sweet spot between 5 to 7.
Okay.
I say that because it's not like we have a couple of guys on the team who come in on a kind of a part-time basis.
Yeah, contractor, part-timers,
exactly.
right?
So we always say we laugh about that. We joke about that. But our goal, we want to grow.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback off of what you were saying, I used to speak the investor talk. I used to speak that language. It's not that I don't speak it anymore, or I don't know how to speak it. I understand percentages. I understand growth rates, projection, trajectory. I understand all these things. And I understand exactly what how returns and all that. But that's not our focus. Our focus is to make sure
that has never returned anything.
Yeah.
If anything, that lost money.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
And I don't want to say anybody's name, but Tiger Global was going insane. They were dumping money like there is no tomorrow.
Yeah.
50% gone. Masa, I love him. I love this man. Masayoshi's son for SoftBank. He's just incredible. But his style is very different. With very heavy going with investments. But personally, I root for him. I'm like, I really want him to hit it at least with something, because some of the WeWork and a couple of those things didn't work out very well. So he's kind of a target for the media to, that didn't work. But I hope something is definitely going to work for him. A lot of things worked for him. People will be like, Tom, what are you talking about? He did the Alibaba investment. What are you talking about? He did the Yahoo Japan investment. He bought the ARM, the one of the largest chip designers in the UK. ARM, right? Yes. So nothing is bad for him. It's just one WeWork and something. But
he's like one of them.
Yeah, that's. But the thing is, people that go with the passion, which you have, this is the product you're building. Now, by the way, are you full time doing this product right now?
Yes, we're 100%. 100% in, going in.
Wow.
We live and eat, dream, sleep, everything. This thing, in Paradoxly, and then we want to, make sure that we put in the time. It's not a part-time thing for us, especially for myself. I think about this all the time. I literally just drive and think about it all the time. I'm living it around the clock.
Man, somebody like you putting their 100% into the product, I'm sold. I want to use the product. I am downloading it, and folks, if you have listened this far, please do download, share your feedbacks, and talk to Ali. He's open-minded, and just reach out to him. And thank you so much, Ali, for coming in. Appreciate it,
very much for having
folks.
Me on the show.
Please also follow him, subscribe to our channel, and download.
Subscribe to his channel. That's the most important takeaway from the entire episode. You know what I mean? I will put subscriber number 1, subscribe number 2, and then subscribe number 3 is definitely the top 3. And then, go check us out at 4 and 5. Download the app at number 6.
That's so kind. That is.
Thank you so much. It's been an infectious energy. Thank you so much.
Thank
you for giving me the space to tell my story. I like what you said. Like it's time that, we should revere the legacy stories, and those are important to learn from. But there are a lot of stories happening right now. It's fighting it right now. It's happening right now, and I'm so glad. Thank you so much for the time, Tom. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for sharing with us. All right, folks.
Thank you very much.